Yoo-hoo! Hello! Time to get up. Very important day.
Welcome back to Director's Choice. The Garfield Theory is a freaky one, so buckle up because this will rock your world. There are many theories surrounding Garfield, but this theory is not about him. It's about his owner, Jonathan Q. Arbuckle.
It's just two little girls. Am I gonna spend the rest of my life under here hiding from two little girls? No! I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life hiding from two little girls.
He's the owner of the most famous cartoon cat in the world. But what dark secrets could be hiding behind closed doors? Stick around to find out. Garfield has been around for over 40 years, which makes him one of the oldest cartoon cats in history.
Something wrong, Garfield?
Recount demand.
When the comic first launched in 1978, everyone immediately fell in love with the adorable yet annoying orange cat. They also fell in love with his owner, John Arbuckle, who is the main focus of this video. John has had several pets over the years, all of whom are deceased, but we'll get into how suspicious that is later. For now, we're focusing on his living pets, Garfield the cat and Odie the dog. Odie's original owner. For those who haven't followed Garfield since the very beginning, you might not know that John isn't Odie's original owner. His original owner was a man named Lyman. Lyman was John's friend and roommate, but one day in 1983, Lyman disappeared, never to be seen again. What happened to him? Where did he go? And how could he leave his precious pet behind? These are questions I'm about to answer. John killed Lyman. I know this is hard to believe. John seems like a loving guy who would never hurt a fly, but we all know that we can't judge a book by its cover. John loves Odie a lot. So the question is, what would he be willing to do to make Odie his pet and no one else's? Lyman was a main character in the original Garfield comics, so if he left then, there must be a good reason. Before Lyman's disappearance, he lived with his beloved pet Odie, his friend John, and John's pet Garfield. All four of them lived in the same building, and this was where most of the events in the comic strips took place. Everyone fell in love with the dynamic foursome, so they were shocked when Garfield creator Jim Davis kicked Lyman out of the group, reducing the main characters to Garfield, John, and Odie. It all happened so fast. One minute Lyman was there, and the next he was gone. Over the years, Lyman became a distant memory as writers began to edit Odie's origin story and take out his original owner. Some stories claim that John adopted Odie and Garfield from the same pet shop, while others say he adopted Odie a few years after adopting Garfield. These writers managed to write out an original main character, and by the time they were done, Lyman had been completely removed from the series and the lives of his friends. It was like he vanished or never even existed. Many people wondered and obsessed over where Lyman went, but no one could provide any answers. The list. To quell the sea of unanswered questions and confused fans, Jim Davis published a list of the 10 possible explanations for Lyman's disappearance. The list was published in the 20th anniversary book for Garfield.
Did you find Lyman? Is he all right?
Yes, we found Lyman. Yes, he's all right.
Oh, that's great.
It had outrageous possibilities like Lyman joining the CIA and working undercover in Russian comics, or him being disfigured in a drawing accident. It also had more believable explanations like Lyman moving to San Francisco, or him opting for a career in hotel-motel management. While most of these reasons are funny and comical and just typical Garfield fashion, the last reason is a head-turner. It simply says, "Don't look in John's basement." Why shouldn't we look in John's basement, Jim? Is he hiding something atrocious? Something like the body of his best friend and former owner of the pet he now owns? Did John kill Lyman so he could keep Odie for himself? Is that why Lyman hasn't been seen in several years? John seems like a well-rounded guy, but most of the time, it's the quiet ones that are most diabolical. Don't let his lovable, happy-go-lucky attitude fool you. John's hiding a dark side. The scavenger hunt. Okay, so maybe everything from this list is a joke. John couldn't have killed Lyman. How could he do something so awful? Sounds too outrageous, right? You need a little more before you believe that John is pure evil, right? Well, don't worry, because you're about to get even more proof of John's crime. Back in the 90s, people could play a variety of games on the official Garfield website. These games were great because they gave fans a chance to see Garfield outside of the comics. There were several games on the website, but one game stood out, Garfield's Scary Scavenger Hunt. It was a Halloween scavenger hunt that took place in a haunted mansion. In this game, Garfield walks around the house trying to find the items on the list. What he's really trying to find are the sweet treats that John has hidden all over the haunted house. Before we get into the proof that John killed Lyman, I want you to take a minute to ask yourself why a pet owner would force their beloved cat to walk through a creepy house just to get a few treats that he could have easily given to him. Why didn't he give Garfield the treats for playing fetch? I know that's more of a dog thing, but you get the point. Now back to Lyman. At some point in the game, Garfield reaches the basement where he finds Lyman chained up. The poor guy looks like he hasn't eaten for months. His clothes are raggedy, and there are skulls around the basement, like he wasn't the first one to be chained up there. Lyman begs Garfield for food because, as expected, he's starving. Another creepy part about this is that if you leave the room and come back, Lyman will be gone. It can't just be a coincidence that Jim Davis's list said not to look in John's basement. And now we find a chained up Lyman in the basement of a haunted house. Could this haunted house actually be John's home? Is this where he hid his best friend for years so he could steal his pet dog? The simple answer is yes. Poor Lyman spent years locked up in the basement just because John wanted to keep Odie for himself. He left him without food or water, and he just moved on with his life like nothing happened. Scary Scavenger Hunt 2. Sadly, this is not where the story ends for Lyman. In Scary Scavenger Hunt 2, Garfield returns to the same haunted house to hunt down some more sweet treats. When he reaches the basement this time, Lyman is no longer there. Instead, he finds a coffin that contains a vampire. While the coffin did not contain Lyman, it did foreshadow what Garfield would find later in the game. As he moves through the haunted maze, he finds an oven, and inside it is Lyman's decapitated head. It seems John got tired of keeping his friend chained up, so he went back to finish the job. The Zabadoo. The suspicion surrounding John was starting to mount, and more fans were seeing him for what he truly was, a murderous psychopath. To dispel these rumors, the Garfield writers released an episode that was designed to answer all the questions fans had about Lyman's disappearance. The episode was titled Long Lost Lyman, and it aired in 2012. In the episode, Lyman left because he wanted to find a mythological creature known as the Zabadoo. This creature could only be found in Australia, so Lyman said goodbye to his friends and set off on his journey to find the Zabadoo. Lyman eventually found the Zabadoo after he was injured, and the creature came to his rescue. It turned out that the Zabadoo was not a mythical creature, but instead a human doctor. He pretended to be a mythical creature because he wanted to protect the jungle. Lyman stayed in the jungle, unable to contact anyone for years. And after the doctor passed away, he took over and became the Zabadoo. This episode claims that Lyman is not in John's basement. Instead, he is in an Australian jungle, posing as a mythical creature to protect the jungle from poachers. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think happened to Lyman? Do you think John killed him, or do you think he's living a peaceful life in an Australian jungle? Let us know in the comments section below. Check out this other recent clip by Director's Choice. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you never miss an episode.